I saw my life branching out before me like the fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was a husband and a happy home and children, and another fig was a famous poet, and another fig was a brilliant professor. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death, just because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest, and as I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one, they plopped to the ground at my feet. That was an excerpt from The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I originally got into Sylvia Plath because I was like, well, we have the same name, so I need to be into her. But then I read The Bell Jar, and I was like, wow, that was actually very relatable, which probably isn't a good thing, but I just love the fig tree analogy, and I thought, since I'm at a crossroads in my life where I'm starting nursing school, I chose my fig, I suppose. It would be fun to go back and look at all the other paths I could have taken and just discuss what my fig tree looks like. I feel like that could be very therapeutic for me because all my life I've just been so indecisive about what I want to do, and I finally chose something, and I just have to keep telling myself, like, it'll all be fine in the end, like, no matter what path you choose. So my first unpicked fig was being a doctor. That was originally my goal for a large part of my undergrad career. I wanted to go to med school. I bought like all the MCAT prep books. I started studying a little bit, and then I just realized I do not think that way. I love chemistry and biology is super fun, but I don't think in the right way to take the MCAT, so I decided it would be best not to do medical school. And I also realized I just don't want to be in school for the next 10 years, and I think that's okay. I boiled down what my main reasonings for wanting to be a doctor was, and I realized that there are some easier paths that I can take to get to the same like fulfillment I wanted, so that's why I didn't do that one. And then my next fig is being a coffee shop owner. I was a barista for about 3 years at this point, and I love it. I love coffee. I love just like chatting with regulars, and it's just a fun environment to work in. I have always had the dream of one day opening a cute little like artsy coffee shop that can have like music nights and stuff like that. It does sound very cute and fun, but ultimately I'm not doing that right now because I realized while I enjoy being a barista, being a coffee shop owner or even just a manager is a completely different skill set, and I really just do not care about like the business side of anything. I don't care about like return on investments or profit margins or any of that, so it just does not seem like it would be that fulfilling of a venture for me, especially with all the risk that's involved. I am just not in a place financially to deal with all that headache, and I'm just not that big of a risk taker. Like maybe one day when I'm more financially stable, I might consider doing some type of business like that, but for now, I'm fine with just taking silly little barista jobs where nothing's that serious and I can just make cute drinks. And then my next unpicked fig was being a tattoo artist. This one has been just like a secret dream of mine for so long because it really goes against my personality. Like I'm a very reserved person, and I feel like every tattoo artist I've met is just very outgoing and bubbly. But I just love doing art. I love sketching and drawing, and I also just love tattoos. Like it's such a cool art form. And for the longest time, like in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, if all else fails, I'll get a tattoo apprenticeship. But in the end, it's just not the path for me. I know I do not like talking to people enough to do that as a job, and it's very hard to get a tattoo apprenticeship, so ultimately I did not decide to do that. This video is basically just saying that I choose safe things, and I think that's fine. And then my next fig is being a teacher. Both of my parents were teachers at one point, and it does seem like a very rewarding field, and I think I would have enjoyed it, but nowadays being a teacher, you're braver than a Marine if you're a teacher right now. There's just like so many things working against them. I feel like after COVID, all the kids kind of went a bit feral, kind of a little crazy, and there's just so many like legislations and things that make it harder for teachers to do what they're supposed to do, which is teach. So while it would have been fun, I am not equipped to deal with all those headaches, so I did not decide to be a teacher. And next is marine biologist. I actually studied environmental science for my whole first year of undergrad, but ultimately I decided to change my major because environmental is just kind of depressing in my opinion. Like, it was just really disheartening to hear all these different lectures about like how our ecosystem is failing, how like everything is dying, and how we're all doomed basically. It was just something that I couldn't listen to for the next 4 years, so I decided to switch majors. While I love the environment, I like nature, I like learning facts and seeing new creatures and all that stuff, I don't think I am built to be in a lab. And a lot of like marine bio environmental jobs boil down to like being in the lab or writing research papers and things like that once you get higher in your career. Academia just isn't for me. While marine bio and learning about nature can be a fun hobby of mine, it is not what I wanted to do as a career. And then my last unpicked fig is being a travel blogger. In another life, if I was more of a risk taker, I would have not gone to college and just used all my savings to travel the world and write about it, film it, and hopefully get a following from that. But as we've learned with all these other unpicked figs, I'm just a realistic person, and so I did not do that. One day I would love to travel more and take you guys all with me, but for now, that's just not for me. I've realized I'm once again just a very reserved person, and although I feel like I have been coming out of my shell more, full-time travel just is a bit too much for me right now. The most I'll do is a solo trip here and there. And then finally, we have the fig that I did choose, which is being a nurse. I'm heading to nursing school starting in May, which is very, very soon, but I'm excited. I ultimately decided that nursing was for me because it combined my desire to help people with my love of like chemistry, science, all that stuff that you have to know to be a good nurse. I also learned more about the nursing model of education, and I just find it more appealing to me because I like seeing the patients as a whole person rather than just like a case by case basis. Enough of the rambling. I just decided that it's a better fit for me with the amount of education I'd have to do, and then I can always become a nurse practitioner if I wanted more responsibilities. So ultimately, that's what I chose. Thank you all for coming on this kind of tangenty, kind of rambly journey through my fig tree and all the different paths that I did not choose. It doesn't really matter what we choose as long as we make the most of our circumstances and be the best that we can be at the path or the fig that we've chosen. If any of you haven't read The Bell Jar, I definitely recommend it. I feel like it's a very good book to read if you're just confused about life and want to put things into perspective. I know this is kind of different than the videos I've been filming, but thank you all for sticking it out to the end if you did. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. All right, bye.